Hi, everyone.
Hey.
I'm Alicia.
And I'm Meredith.
And this is Summer is Fun, a Summer House podcast. Season 8, episode 3. We're already jumping in. I love summer. There's no time to pause in
I
summer.
love summer. It just I feel like I'm gonna have fun watching this show. Just
Agreed.
the premise of it brings joy.
So fun. Okay, before we get into the episode, check us out on the A&M Podcast Network. We have this podcast, which is also a Winter House podcast and a Summer House Martha's Vineyard podcast. And we have It's About the Pasta, Vanderpump Rules podcast, and One Season Wonders. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Vanderpasta. And join our Patreon, patreon.com/Vanderpasta. Let me tell you very quickly what you can get. For $1 a month, you get access to all of our fun pre-shows where Meredith and I and sometimes Sarah talk about whatever the hell we want because it's our show. And also you get access to any episodes we record early, including this one, but we're recording this one kind of late. So sorry if it doesn't come up. That's our fault. For $2 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when we go back and watch old seasons of these shows, we'll do an after show where we talk about current Bravo news so we don't give away any spoilers. But since this is live, we'll just do all the spoilers on the podcast. Also, we'll say your name on the podcast. So thank you to Allison, Chris, Darby, Dee, Gabriella, Jackie, Jamie, Jennifer, Kirsten, Casey, Kelsey, Chrissy, Lady Swamp Witch, Lauren, Robin, Sammy, Sarah L, Sarah R, Tierney, Tonette, Tracy, Emily, Gina, Isabella, Leanne, Rio, Taylor, and Tara.
Woohoo!
Yay! Thank you for being a part of our community. Okay, and then for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when there are live seasons, which is now, we will post in the Patreon, and we will ask for your thoughts, questions, opinions, concerns, whatever, and we will read them on the podcast. Also, we'll pick a patron of the episode. So this week's patron of the episode is Tonette, because Tonette comments on everything. She's a great person in our community. We love talking with Tonette so much. So thank you so much, Tonette. And she gave us some thoughts for this episode that we can talk about.
I'm excited.
Cool. Should we jump right in? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so previously on Summer House, West is into Ciara. The boys are really greatly casted this season. Jesse is flirting with Paige. Kyle and Amanda are fighting. Lindsay and Carl went to the Summer House last episode. They're hoping for a chill summer. Lindsay got drunk because she was nervous to see the girls. She got into the boys' car and came back from the bar accusing Carl of being on something. Lindsay called him Cocaine Carl, and Carl is pissed. So, with that, we pick up right where we left off. It is Saturday, 8:22 a.m. Lindsay and Carl are fighting. Carl is getting very upset that Lindsay accused him of being on something, and she, of course, is not listening to his feelings. So he gets angry and leaves to go on a run.
Yeah.
Okay, great. In light notes, Kyle takes the dogs out. Wes, so cute, goes to Jesse's room, hops in his bed so they can have a little morning talk.
Little bro. It's like reminding me of Ciara and Paige becoming friends.
It is. I really like it. And for that reason, I want Jesse to date Paige. So then it just completes everything.
If Craig was not in the picture, this is my dream.
Either way, I don't really care.
It would be interesting if somehow Craig and Paige broke up and now we get a foursome.
I would love like a little orgy. I'd love it, but like in the beds. And then they go jump in the pool as bros. Okay, so now it's 9:51 a.m. Carl's back from his run. He goes to the kitchen where he sees Gabby. Gabby was very nice last night to Carl. She's the one that called and defended him. Yeah, to Lindsay. And so Carl thanks her. He explains kind of what happened in the car. Gabby just says Carl tells Gabby how Lindsay's uneasy about not being in the girls' car and it was took to the extreme. And Gabby's very understanding. She stays very neutral. She's just kind of
Carl defends her in a sense of giving her he understands why this happened and how it got taken out on him, and he doesn't feel like he's so upset. I think he's just sad that this obviously happened and wants it resolved, but he's not bashing her by any means in this conversation to Gabby. And I'm God, he's so clear-headed and he just gets it.
Yeah, he's great. And then Wes checks on Danielle. So now it's 10:36 a.m. Everyone's kind of in the kitchen. Paige got really drunk. She didn't black out. She just browned out. But Jesse tells Paige that she looks great. Then we have Lindsay. She made it to the kitchen. Danielle checks in with Lindsay, asks her how she and Carl are. Lindsay tells Danielle that she slept in Gabby's bed and tried to go to their room this morning to talk to Carl, and he wasn't very nice last night, and he got defensive and cut her off, and she's just trying to tell him how she felt. And then we find out Lindsay has, quote, PTSD from old Carl from 4 years ago when they tried to date after they finger banged.
The way Lindsay says the conversation this morning happened, that's not how I felt it happened.
No, I felt he was very mad. She came in and basically said,
tried to trap him.
You don't have a right to be mad.
And tried to like trap him with that water. Like
that. And then also the whole like, why'd you say you were sober right now? Like, and she wanted to like let it go. She wouldn't listen to his explanation.
Leaving out the part where she kind of continued to accuse him of not being sober. And that's why he got upset and was like cutting off. He was unwilling to let her keep accusing him, like, which is so normal.
I mean, are you surprised?
No, but like the delusion she has in this conversation with Danielle of like leaving that major context piece out.
She's very known for her delusion, so this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this PTSD from old Carl from 4 years ago. I don't know what that's about.
I understand, like, our old Carl was bad. Like, I 1,000% agree with her, but I don't see him being old Carl right now. So, like, I'm confused because it's really hard without having the car footage, like, to truly validate what was happening. But I lean towards the person who was sober.
Same. And I think if you are going to redate this person 4 years later, you can't keep bringing up the past.
Especially when he's clearly different on substances and not on substances. That is a huge factor in like changing how you act and react in situations.
Completely agree. So basically the producers asked Lindsay in her interview if at any point she thought Carl was not sober. She says no.
Let's be fucking for real.
I think sober Lindsay can recognize that Carl never would do that. But her drunk was just so ridiculous. And then when the producer says, why did you tell him he's not sober then? This is where I think she's really trying to spin this PR.
Yeah.
Try and get people to understand, but it's like not going to work. Because Lindsay says she should have used more delicate words in the moment, but she was taken aback by his aggressiveness and trying to figure out where he is coming from. And he's treating her in a way that's startling. And it's very much of old Carl. I didn't like that.
No, because she didn't mince words when she accused him of being on something. If she like alluded to it and just said he's acting like old Carl and that was it, you could maybe say I should have used more delicate words. But you flat out like said he was not sober when you were drunk that night.
Like, what was going to be your delicate word?
Yes, and she did it in her interviews. She did that on that post that I read last time we recorded. And she did it. She said it again on Watch What Happens Live. And I'm like, after the post on Instagram, she saw the reaction and she's still saying this like narrative.
Yeah. She's still.
It baffles me. The whole internet is not on her side. I have not found one person who like agrees with her for questioning his sobriety. And like, everybody wants an apology for him.
I also don't like that she's like, he was aggressive. He was treating me really badly.
Yeah.
Like, if this all happened in a car ride, with other people as witnesses,
that it's the other people being there. I just feel like something would have come out in the interviews. I really don't think everybody would be protecting Carl this much if he like screamed at her. Somebody would have said it by now.
Yeah. So whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Kyle then, because he's friends with Carl, they go talk. And Carl's obviously very upset. Kyle mentions that Lindsay last night kept asking Carl what he was on, and that is concerning to Kyle.
Yeah.
And Kyle himself has never liked how Lindsay doesn't take accountability or responsibility. And Kyle in the past, to deal with her, either just falls on the sword or doesn't deal with it. But that's not an option for Carl. He has to deal with it.
Yeah.
And falling on the sword every time is not the solution. So Carl, he gets what Kyle is saying, but he doesn't want to blame Lindsay for what happened. Even though Kyle interrupts and says that's unacceptable. You like have to, she needs to take this responsibility.
Yes. About questioning your sobriety. Like, this argument is like, there's so much going on in it. And so I think Carl could take accountability for his manner of how he spoke to her. Like, but Lindsay always needs to take accountability for questioning your sobriety. Like, you can't fall on that sword. Because why are you putting your sobriety at risk here? Or like the question of your sobriety at risk. That's not cool.
Yeah, on TV, like it's being like questioned by your fiance. Like that's none of it's okay. And so Kyle just says he sees Carl making sacrifices and trying to solve the problem, but Lindsay is being the problem in this situation. Carl said he is scared and like mostly sad because this is where they're at before their wedding.
Yeah.
So Kyle's like, how often are things pinned onto you that have actually nothing to do with you? And it's like an open-ended, we don't really get an answer. I'll answer probably 100% of the time. That's just my guess.
I would have to say,
it's just a third party.
There has to be a conversation like this once a week where it's like she's mad that he did something and he just apologizes to me.
And he just falls on the sword. Yeah. So it's 11:20 a.m. We're going to go to the beach. Paige might even go in the ocean. Like, come on.
Who is this girl? She went out this weekend.
Paige would hate me as a friend because I would be like, I'm going to play mermaids in the ocean. Who wants
I'm a doer. Like, I never think, I'm never a girl who's like, oh my God, I washed my hair today. Like, I can't. Nah. I'm like,
my hair will smell like lake or ocean.
Or I'll like rewash it. Like,
yeah, let's do it.
The event is better to have the experience always.
Yeah, I'm going to go jump on in. No questions asked. Wish you would join me.
Yeah.
I got my the bathing suit I wear is for swimming. Like, I'm not in a cute bikini that's going to come up. No, I'm here to power sport.
When I put on a swimsuit, I immediately think, how many activities do I need to be able, does this need to hang on to my body? Is this going to hold
everything in? Is it like, you know how you used to, like, if you went down like a water slide, your top could like come up?
Yes.
But Nah, not anymore. We're here for extreme sports.
Yes. I think about it often. Like when I go to like a lake, because we have like jet skis, I'm like, I need to wear a suit that will not come off if I ever fall off a jet ski.
Absolutely not. When you go tubing.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for everything.
You have to one piece it on a tube.
Or it's got to be tight, real tight, triple knots.
Yeah, you know. Okay, so they also made Jell-O shots that they're going to cut before they go out. We have cute little flirting with West and Ciara about cutting the Jell-O shots. It's very cute. They're just like the loves of my life.
Yes.
The chemistry. And then Kyle's like, hey, you two, I have a question. Did you guys hook up? And Ciara's like, no, but he did bite my arm. And West is like, well, that's like halfway to first. I was like a bunt. It was a bunt.
I love him. Like, he is just so funny at every turn.
Yeah. I love how it's not awkward too. Like, it can be awkward if someone calls you as like, did you two hook up? And you'd be like, no. But Ciara's like super chill about it. West is super chill about it. They're so funny.
The if will they won't they is becoming like a bit in the house, and they're in on it, and so it's like fun. It is so fun.
They're not taking it seriously. Ciara is a little hesitant. She's seeing this thing as like a fleeting fling, which I was like, no, this is love of your life. Date him.
But I think she needs to. Like, she made mistakes with just diving headfirst into Austin. I mean, Austin was a major problem, but you do. Winter and summer house are different. Winter house is over in like 2 weeks. So like if you do fuck up, like you got to get out of there pretty quickly. Summer house is a long stretch. That's like 6 weeks of your life.
I get it, but I want her to know, as viewers, we know this is love of your life and we understand protecting yourself. Yes. But like, he would never hurt you. But
we're learning slow burns are better. You want to go slow and it'll last. So like, I am happy she's not jumping in. Mistakes can be made.
You know what? You're right. I do love a slow burn. That's all my books. That's one of my favorite tropes.
Yeah, I think we would be bored if they like hooked up this weekend and like
and just kept hooking up.
Yeah, it's like I want to watch this slowly unfold.
Agreed. I also like how she doesn't expect anything. I think that's taking the pressure off. Because also I felt like in Winter House with Austin, there was this immense pressure because Craig and Paige were like,
no, it was Andrea and Paige.
It was before that. Andrea and Paige, but then also, so her best friend in the house is with someone. You have Amanda and Kyle. That's her other best friend. She's like, there's this guy. I might as well like go for it. And then I think after, this is what I meant, Paige and Craig did get together. So it was like she still should go for Austin because then the four of them could just have the best friend.
A foursome, it like eggs you on into it when you're dating friends.
No, it's West. West is the move. Anyway, and if it's not, send him my way. So it's 11:46 a.m. Lindsay and Carl are very silently getting ready in their room.
It's so awkward. This is my worst nightmare about like living, even short term with like a partner, is like you don't get to have your own space. Like,
and then you get in a fight and you're like uncomfortable in your own space.
Like I like to chill my life out, like to just lay horizontal on a couch or a bed. But like if you're there, you're going to make me mad in my happy activity just by being around me.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Gabby calls her sister Danielle, tells her sister about the huge fight.
I love when you get a call someone and be like, oh my God, guess what is happening?
And it's someone that knows the people but doesn't like know them or care about them.
They get it. They understand the players and like the nuances of life.
Yes. So Gabby tells us the real issue is that Lindsay came into the house enemies with basically all the girls except Gabby. And Lindsay's trying to articulate her feelings and she feels she isn't being heard. And that could have been the fucking end of it. But then she accused Carl of not being sober. So now it's a new issue. So
yes. That was put so perfectly. Because like, you're right. I feel like the initial chaos dissolved. Both because the night is over and Lindsay's not drunk anymore. And so like that kind of tension could have eased itself. But truly Lindsay calling out his sobriety and questioning it.
That's now the problem.
That really has to be dealt with. You cannot shove something like that under the rug.
Yes. Okay, there were a lot of timestamps this episode, so
I thought of you every time I saw them. I was like, wow.
I started to skip some because nothing happened, and each time I was like, no one cares. Anyway, so it is 1:22. We're going to the beach. Kyle brought his giant ass speakers. He loves those speakers more than Amanda, and she knows it. Danielle and Carl play catch with the football. Carl asks Danielle how work is. She basically says fine. And then he's like, it's kind of nice for me to take a break from Loverboy and like just chill, figure out what I want to do. He's looking for his next career move, but he doesn't want to rush into things. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy your time. Correct me if I'm wrong. This was before he then returned to Loverboy.
Yes. Okay. So timeline of his career path is fall 2022. After the last summer, he slowly starts separating himself from Loverboy. It like took a while, and then while Summer House last season was airing last spring, him and Lindsay, I know, were doing a lot of interviews saying he was not presently working for Loverboy. And then by the time he films this, he's still not a part of it. At the end of the summer, he starts back at Loverboy and they make the non-alc.
The non-alcoholic. Yes. Okay. So Carl's just figuring it out. He doesn't know what he wants to do. Which
I get. Like,
I get it.
He's an investor in Loverboy. So like, I bet you feel so tied to, and like your best friend, you're in a good spot. Like
you did sales for it, which is what you really like.
Yeah, it's like unweaving. Like, okay, like maybe like this industry isn't for me because I'm a sober person. Like, but is the like CPG industry for him? Is sales still the role for him? There's a lot to figure out, especially when you are like financially secure because you do have a job, which is a reality TV show.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're struggling for money and just need to do a job. It's like he's trying to find like a career path, like something he's passionate about, not just a job.
Yeah, that's the difference with like this show and Vanderpump is even when this show gets big and they have a ton of money and they can do brand deals, they still have it in themselves to want to succeed and like do new things and like
they're very like career focused people and not in an entertainment sense.
No, yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. So it's 2:48 p.m. Paige is talking to Amanda and Ciara, and Paige tells them at the club last night It went in this order: West, Ciara, Paige, Jesse, all sitting down. And Jesse leaned over to say something to West. And when he did, he put his hand on Paige's knee. And Paige was immediately like, you can't do that. And she's not normally the type to call things out, like when it happens. Okay, what do you think about this? Do you think, obviously we know Jesse is flirting. So this was like a flirty attempt. Would you say something in the moment? Would you be like, get your hand off my knee?
It is hard for me to say stuff in the moment like that, but I would sit there probably being a little uncomfortable. But like, not like he's a bad person. Like I'm just uncomfortable because I actively know he's flirting. Like touching is a very specific way to know someone is flirting with you.
Okay, I think I suck at realizing things. If you just lean over and touch my knee, I'm not going to think anything of it. Unless you like rub it or squeeze it, then I'm going to be like, excuse me.
But it's all the other instances beforehand. You know he's into you. If you know he's into you, that it means it's different.
That's also true. I understand where Paige is like, ooh, not good for him. But also, I probably be like, whatever.
It's not like a massive deal, but it's like putting the pieces together that you can like really tell he's starting to get more and more forward and like really show his cards that he's into you.
Agreed.
And it's only going to build. So at what point do you say something is kind of, I think, the storyline of like, when is this not just like lighthearted flirting?
Yeah.
Like, I want to make it clear that like it's a no.
Yeah. So Amanda definitely is like, he's laying it on thick. And we flashed to him even flirting at the party last weekend. And
Amanda's like, oh my God, how do I get her to pay attention to me? I'm like, sir, you really are laying it on thick.
Amanda wants to tell Jesse Paige has a boyfriend, but Jesse knows. So he does. Honestly, though, there's something really comforting about flirting with someone who is in a relationship because you just know it goes nowhere. Touching obviously is like the next level. Yeah. But like
again, it's like flirt. Like touching light.
I think Jesse is harmless as of right now, and I don't think Paige is concerned. She's just like, what is it disrespectful to Craig? Like I don't know.
It's that weird like just before like something more serious happens, and I don't know if Jesse would, but you're just like on that teetering edge of like what is he going to do next? Like, is this kind of a joke and he's just like slightly into me and it's just like, oh, I think you're cute. Because like people are attracted to people no matter what, you know, and like that's okay. That's natural.
That's fine.
But I weirdly love him like kind of slightly like shooting a shot. Like
I do too.
Might as well test the waters here.
Just see what happens.
You never know.
I think also because we know Craig and Paige are so secure.
Yeah.
And also I just like have to constantly root against Craig. Like I love him.
It makes me wonder like when Craig steps foot in this house, like what's going to happen?
It's been happening for 9 seasons on Southern Charm. I just have to root against Craig. Like I just have to.
I get that.
And so then Paige is in her interview and she's telling us like her boyfriend will beat his ass if Jesse keeps saying shit like that. I literally wrote LOL. Okay, probably not, but go off.
I'm like, actually, I want this brawl to happen now.
I literally said, I hope Jesse keeps flirting. I want the fight.
I want them to have that like blow up. What's it called? Where you have like that stick thing that looks like a giant Q-tip.
Oh my God.
I want them to have to like fight.
Like a Wipeout.
Yes. Like I'm like, okay, now we need like a gladiator party.
Yeah.
And I need you guys to like slightly fight, but in like a protective setting.
See, I was thinking like a duel, like in The Office. They have to duel for like Angela's love. Like that.
I need something.
Acts. Like Paige will just list all the things she loves about a man and they both have to do like who could change a tire faster because Paige isn't going to do it.
Who can bring her the best coffee in bed?
Yeah,
Andrea challenge.
Everything. Andrea pops in. He's the judge for that leg. Also, I just don't care about like who Paige ends up with. Like either one of them I'm fine with. So
I just really want Craig to watch in and see another guy flirting with his girl who lives with his girl and be like Craig will not do anything.
You know what would also be dope? If Craig walks in and sees Jesse flirt with Paige and Paige is like, go get him. And Craig's like, have you seen that guy?
Oh, no.
He's so tall. Like, I can't.
I want him to like egg Jesse on to keep flirting.
Yeah. Be like, hey, you should buy Paige drinks at the bar.
Go get her some flowers.
Yeah, just say they're from me or something.
They're from both of us, her lovers.
It was my idea. We'll just both. Oh, I love it. Anyway, Paige tells us Craig isn't a jealous person. Which, again, I don't know if
I don't think he really is. Not like, I don't think he would get mad that somebody is, like, lightly flirting with his girlfriend. He's not going to, like, throw hands.
He wouldn't date someone as hot as Paige if he was uncomfortable with people flirting with her.
And I think it's just different when you're both in the limelight. Like, they both understand the life they live. Like, I think it'd be really hard to be a normal person dating, like, Paige.
Agreed. So Craig's not jealous, but he has his moments, and she wants Craig to be friends with the people she lives with.
Yeah.
This is where I understand her being like, I want to stop it.
I want him to feel comfortable when he comes, because then she has to film this every weekend. So if they're going to see each other on a weekend, he kind of has to come to her.
Yeah. So Paige says if Craig told her that a girl put her hand on Craig's knee, she'd be on a plane to Charleston. She's done more for less.
I died at that line.
Also, no, you wouldn't, though. Paige would totally be like, did you punch her in the face? And Craig would be like, no. And she'd be like, okay. Like, I think she'd just be like, tell that hoe.
Well, I remember when the Naomi stuff was going down on Southern Charm, like, Paige was kind of annoyed that Naomi kept trying to make conversations happen, like, move on with it.
Yeah, but I don't think Paige would, like, show up ready. She was just, Paige was forced to film that. So she was always like, why? Also, I felt Paige was more annoyed that she and Naomi kept having to have conversations.
Yeah.
And she didn't care. She understood Craig and Naomi have to
be
for the
around
show.
Each other. Yeah.
But Paige is like, why me? Like, I don't care.
The only thing she got annoyed with was they kept doing one-on-one things, and it kept being forced to do just them two things. And she was like, this storyline is played out. Like,
I think that's
stupid.
fair.
Yeah.
But Paige is out with everyone at a club, and Nee gets, or even Craig. Craig's out at a club and Nee gets touched. I don't think Paige would be like, must kill, you know?
I think eventually she would be like, are you shutting this down?
Yeah, and which Craig, yes, he's punching way out of his weight class here. Yeah, he's good.
Craig is not going to lose Paige.
Come on. I mean, Paige wasn't even mad when Taylor said that, like, she cheats on Craig. Like, she was like, whatever, bitch. Like, do you?
We're
like,
fine.
I think they're secure enough. Paige and Craig are in such a good place. Yeah.
As long as Paige says that they're not going to break up, Craig is good.
Oh my God, Craig could lose his whole mind. Anyway, so Jesse's flirting, though, is making Amanda uncomfortable, but it isn't making Paige uncomfortable. Paige is just more uncomfortable for him.
Mm-hmm. Like, what a diss.
That was hilarious. And then Amanda's like, Craig is a sweetheart until you fuck with Paige. And I was like, Craig's a doofus 24/7. Like this man.
But I want to see this potentially happen. I'm like, all right, let's take it on. I want to fight.
I want this fight so bad.
Feeding me a fake fight that I don't believe like Craig will ever do, because now I'm like, let's push him to that point.
Yeah, Paige is sitting there like, my man's gonna fight, and Craig shows up and he's like, I'm actually not. So
I can see Craig rolling up in a little polo in his like Louis Vuitton little suitcase, being like, "Hi,
hey, you're the guy hooking or flirting with Paige. Rock out, she's hot, right?"
And then he just will shake his hand. Like that's the most confrontation Craig would ever do in this situation.
Yeah, literally nothing. 3:46 p.m. The girls are dancing. The boys are playing smackball and shotgun and lover boys. Lindsay and Danielle talk about what boys Danielle's talking to. Mm-hmm. Danielle has a couple. She's well fed. No one worry. Shout out. Woo! Is she Joe Bradley at this point?
No. Joe Bradley happens post BravoCon. BravoCon was in November.
You're right. Joe Bradley doesn't exist right
now.
Don't worry.
I always got the timeline in my brain. I constantly think about life in a timeline.
I obviously don't. Okay. I'm more abstract, I guess.
You are, and that's okay.
Okay. So Wes talks to Carl about the fight with Lindsay. Carl says nothing has been resolved, but he does need to have a conversation with Lindsay at some point. So then Danielle brings up Lindsay and like the good conversation brings up to Lindsay the good conversation she had with Carl about work stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, so great. He's trying to figure it out. And Lindsay's a little annoyed because she's like, he's been trying to figure it out and we get kind of nowhere.
Which at first I was like, whoa, girl, like, let him breathe.
I think if you had to listen to this all day, you'd be like, just.
When she starts to explain it, I was like, okay, I understand this more.
Also, boys can kind of sometimes be like, we're going to open an amusement park. And it's like, no, you're not.
And also it's like, I think it's like, is that a fleeting comment or like you actually interested in that? Because like I have a bajillion ideas in my head that are fleeting too. Same. But if I had to say them out loud to a partner, I think they'd also be like, fuck no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Danielle says it best. She's like, you need to give him a little grace, right?
Yeah.
And I get that. She's figuring out his sobriety. He's figuring out his work. He's like, doesn't know what he wants.
And like career path is such a big decision. Like if you choose wrong, that also will make you miserable as their partner. So like he'll figure this out at some point. He will. Like you make money from this show. Like you're not struggling. It's annoying to like not be able to like resolve other people's problems, but like you just gotta let him be. Like you can't want things more than he does. Like he needs to walk his own path with this one.
Agreed. And Lindsay, so we find out Lindsay has fully leaned into being an influencer, which I would like to say they did change her job title after this to influencer. Yeah, I was like cracking up.
I have been always, because like, I think we all knew the PR firm was closed, but like we just never spoke about it. So I'm kind of happy we like talked about this because it did kind of weirdly, subtly annoy me constantly that she was referred to as like a PR person.
PR specialist or whatever it was.
Like, it never felt like she was doing that. And like her being an influencer, great. No shade on the actual job, but I just want to know what the hell you're up to.
Yeah, like, don't lie to me. Like, when everyone at Vanderpump was working at SUR, we were like, no, you're not.
Yes.
So anyway, Lindsay's basically doing what Paige does, right? She's making a good amount of money doing it. But since Carl quit Loverboy, and I understand this, Lindsay and Carl clearly live at a certain tax bracket, and they want to keep that life alive.
Yes. I get this worry as being having a partner. Like, I want to maintain my life.
And Carl was making like good ass money as a VP of sales at a big startup. Like that's a good chunk of money. So yeah, Lindsay, I think, is a little like, we want to keep up this life. Can you figure it out? But Carl's also just figuring out what he's into, right? He thought maybe he'd do a podcast. So they bought podcast equipment.
That would annoy me. If we're committed to buying stuff.
Things. Yeah.
Like that means this, in her mind, the conversations were that serious and he was like that committed just conversationally. And then you give it up the minute we actually start to take action.
Yeah, I don't love that.
That would piss me off. That means we've talked about this quite a few times for us to buy equipment.
Yeah, and you were set on it and you had your whole, like, it was all mapped out every week. So, okay. Then he wanted to be a motivational speaker. And Lindsay said, okay, there might be a few things you got to figure out, but like, then do it.
Good. Yeah.
Then he hired a career coach for $20,000.
Oh, that I think he saw for like 6 months. And it's like, oh, we've done a lot of like soul searching, clearly. And we're still in the same boat.
Yeah. So it's been a journey on figuring out what Carl wants to be when he grows up. I get it. Now that we're really spending money on you figuring it out and you're not really, I also get this, right? You're not following through.
Not just money, but we've put a decent amount of time towards this.
Yeah, I've sat here. We've discussed, obviously, you want to have a podcast enough time. We buy the equipment. You then like give it up. And it's like, bitch, we just.
And from two podcasters, podcasting is not hard.
No, I mean, we give you the lowest of low. I mean, Sarah edits.
But you just have to be committed to keeping a schedule. Like,
yeah, the hardest part is the time, and so you have to.
Yeah, but if we have full-time jobs though, and that's why it's hard for us. But like, if we had no full-time jobs and we were already famous,
we could do this. We could have 17 podcasts.
Yeah, like it would really not be that hard to do this. No. And I think podcasting and motivational speaking kind of would go hand in hand. That he could kind of do both. And so it's like build a platform speaking about your journey on like becoming sober and like the trauma you have faced of losing your brother. But like you got to start somewhere and you just got to be committed. A really
interesting podcast with A, being sober, B, losing a family member. There are tons of people that would talk about that. Yeah. Like how to move on in your life, even like how to find your next career move. Like Carl could focus on a lot of shit. So just do it, like just
sit down and record some episodes. Like I get like Lindsay's frustration about this. I'm glad she like spoke about it in detail because I was, when she first said it, I'm like, girly, come on, be supportive. He's going through a life change, but like we've really been life changing for a while.
I would also be like, can we fast pace this?
I only have so much patience to deal with stuff and not be able to just like, I feel like Lindsay is such a go-getter and so type A. And like, I have that energy too. It'd be really hard to sit and watch someone do nothing.
Yeah, agreed. So Amanda asked Kyle to sunscreen or like reapply sunscreen for her while she's laying in the chair next to Paige and Ciara. And so he very like slowly rubs sunscreen on her boobs. And Paige is like, wow, this is so erotic. And then Kyle makes eye contact with Paige and it becomes
No.
less erotic for her. And Amanda is not turned on by him. Because Paige is like, this is crazy. And Amanda's like, no, not really. Okay, so then Lindsay asked Danielle if she'll ever date a chef again. And Danielle's like, probably not.
Fuck no. I would never date a chef.
Would love to date a musician. You know, Danielle's doing her thing. And Lindsay's like, you know, it's funny. I have a musician friend coming to our wedding that you have an RSVP to. And I was like, bitch, how dare you ask Danielle a question about her life and then turn it into this?
But I think it's so funny. This is how she brought it up. Like, this is very sly and lighthearted. And I was worried that it was going to turn into like something like, wow, I can't believe you haven't RSVP'd. Like, this was cute. Like,
it was the best it could have gone.
Yes.
Yeah. So Danielle's like, so it looks like Danielle just got the invite last week. No, we see her open this thing up on her computer and it says last week. And she's like,
that makes sense because we're like 2 months out. That's when you get your invite.
Oh.
Like, this is a normal time frame to not have RSVP'd and like wait till the last minute. Like, we all suck at sometimes.
Danielle said she still has like a week.
Yes, that's the thing is she's not late on RSVPing. They're just mad she didn't do it immediately.
Annoyed. Okay, so Danielle says she did want to ask Lindsay actually if Lindsay really wanted Danielle there. And Lindsay's like, of course. And Danielle's like, okay, I just didn't want it to feel like you had to invite me.
I like
and Lindsay's like, no, I want you there.
She seemed very sincere too, like shocked that Danielle would ask that question. Like, no, of course. Like,
which I was like, girl, you cannot be shocked. Danielle asked that question.
Well, I think Lindsay is very aloof in how like friendships work. So yeah, I think Lindsay is shocked because I think Lindsay like wouldn't. I really don't think if Lindsay did not want Danielle there, she would send like a pity we're on the same show invite. Like I do really think Lindsay has decent boundaries about that. Like whatever she wants, she is going to do unapologetically.
Yes.
So like if she really didn't want Danielle there, she would not invite her out of pressure of like
very true.
The show, the public opinion, things like that.
That's true.
So that's why I think Lindsay is shocked.
Well, whatever. So yeah, Danielle's basically like, yeah, I'll go. And Danielle says her and Lindsay are in a good spot. She likes where they're at, rebuilding this friendship, and we're just going to keep it like that.
Yeah.
So it's 4:08 p.m. West and Paige go to watch the waves. Paige tells Wes that he's fitting in great. She feels like they're friends. Wes said he would be heartbroken if that wasn't the case. And then Paige says she also thinks Wes has great taste in people like Ciara. And she tells Wes it feels very right. And Wes is like, you know what? I do have a baby crush on her. So... and he goes, do you think I should ask, like, she would say yes to dinner? And Paige is like, yeah. So he basically gets her approval, which is like the best.
You should use each other's friends to, like, further connections, like, and get a read on, like, hey, how are they feeling?
Always get Paige's approval before asking out Ciara, obviously.
Yes, and
she'll tell you.
And ask her out. Like, I'm so excited about this. Yeah. Here we go.
I also like that he didn't say, should I take her out for dinner? He's like, do you think she'd say yes if I asked?
Yeah, because
he already had decided he wanted to do it.
That's it. It's like he actually has a plan, and and he's just like, am I like going down the right path?
Am I crazy or? Yeah. So Carl asked Lindsay to go talk. They go sit on a blanket, very much like their engagement. Never forget.
That was the weirdest comment. It did not make me feel like it did not reminisce on their engagement. A beach crowded full of people midday. And you're in swimsuits versus like a sunset proposal on a beach.
It was on a beach on a blanket. That was it.
The sky was blue. And the sun was out.
The water was there.
Just like the engagement.
It was identical. So Carl says he didn't mean to dismiss Lindsay. He loves her so much and he wants to be her support. But apparently he didn't do that last night. Lindsay says in those moments, she didn't understand where his mood came in last night, and he was snappy and aggressive and rude and mean to her. So Lindsay asks if Carl was mad at her for something else because that is the only reason that he would be snappy and rude to her.
I kind of was frustrated because he didn't make comments back like, I don't feel like I was being mean. Like, this is what I said, or like, I needed
He
more
fell on the
examples.
sword.
I know. I just, when we don't have the video footage to know what happened, I need more examples of what's going on.
Agreed.
Like,
it's hard. It's hard because we don't have all the facts.
Yes.
And we know that.
And it's like, I can't make a judgment fully on this because he's just falling on the sword. So it makes it feel like, okay, maybe he was mean and snappy.
Even though, like, we don't think so. But,
but it gives me doubt.
I know. I think he just wants it to be done. I don't know.
I agree.
I mean,
people online have been saying, like, he hates fighting on camera. Like, remember last season, he tried to cover the camera when they were, like, storming out. So, like, he will fall on the sword even just to not put this on camera.
I also kind of think that. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So Carl says he's upset about the comments Lindsay made when she wasn't sober herself. Lindsay then says she has PTSD from old Carl, and last night was old Carl. Carl says he also is scared of old Carl, but he also has emotions, and who knows what will happen next summer, but he wants to put his energy into having a good weekend. And now they're in a good place. They even kissed with some tongue. Which was so gross.
Yes. I cannot believe when he says it, like, upset him that she made comments basically about his sobriety. She literally blames it on fear of old Kyle. Like, she immediately redirects and cannot sit there and apologize. Like, Carl sat there, apologized. I mean, I can't believe it because he will be the one to take this. Like, he will shoulder the blame. She cannot even say, I'm sorry for questioning your sobriety. Ever.
That's my problem, is she couldn't. He's sitting here saying, I love you so much. I'm sorry that I didn't give you what you needed. Mm-hmm. To me, she needed to say, I'm sorry for questioning your sobriety on camera. It to him. She did. And this makes me think she doesn't really love him. She loves the idea of getting married on her timeline and having someone.
She wants a husband and kids and
she
a
doesn't
family.
Care who Liz. Yeah.
Like, it's not like you just said, like, mean things about him on camera. Like, his sobriety is such a different thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like crazy. I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, the delusion, it's very, the no accountability is very...
For something so serious.
It's very Sandoval-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I can't wait to talk about the previews with that comment later.
But it's just like, recognize you're wrong. Apologize for it without a but. If you really love this person, that's the thing. If you hate this person, fine, whatever, fucking fight to the death.
Yeah.
But this is the person you're going to marry. This is the person I would hate, if I loved Carl, hate seeing him this upset about something that I also had to play in. You know
I
would
what I mean? Hate that there would be a question. I put a question out there about if he was sober or not, and I would want to make sure we rectify that because that is our your reputation is our reputation as a couple too.
You hurt someone you loved. You should be sad that you did that.
Yeah.
And take accountability for that. Yeah, I could go on. Whatever.
It just, this is, there's never really been like this serious of topics that I'm like, this is something you truly should want to take accountability for and move past and like actually address, not just like a stupid fight with like Ciara where like a glass got thrown and we need to like rectify things, but like it's serious, but like not. And so like we can just move on because Austin's stupid. Like this is serious.
This is very serious. So it's time to leave. Danielle says we got to pick up the trash, and she doesn't mean the men. Love it. So this is where we got a timestamp every 20 seconds. So fuck that. We get back to the house around 5:36 p.m. Mm-hmm. Amanda's very excited to see her dogs. Amanda, Ciara, West, Danielle, and Carl are all going out to dinner. The rest of the house is going to stay home. It's a very weird split.
I think producers put this together, and I want producers to be more involved on what group goes out and what group stays in. I liked this idea. Like 50% of us need to go out, and it needs to be a random collection.
Yeah. You split up Lindsay and Carl. You split up Kyle and Amanda. You have Amanda go out because we need that.
And even Paige and Ciara.
I was going to say you split up Paige, Ciara, and Amanda too a little bit. Like you left Paige at home with Lindsay.
Yes.
Crazy. That's crazy. That was awesome.
But you gave Lindsay a buddy with Gabby. Like, this was good pairings. I really enjoyed the split here.
So it's now around 8:15. We got the dinner crew and the house crew. That's how we bounce back a lot. So I'll just do dinner crew, house crew. It looks like it's really hot in all these fucking restaurants. Everyone's fanning themselves at the dinner.
That's my worst nightmare, to be warm and eating dinner.
I know. I don't want, dinner's a cold meal. I need to be cold eating dinner, or at least comfortable.
Well, dinner is usually a warm meal. Like, I don't need to be hot when I'm eating warm food.
I don't want to sweat eating my dinner.
Because then it's like the meat sweats.
I could be hot eating lunch.
I could do that. Because then I could be like, oh, I'll order a salad or like a cold sandwich or something. I want like dinner. I'm thinking like warm plate of spaghetti.
No, you need to minus even what you're eating. Dinner is for
coldness.
Cold. And lunch is for hot.
Lunch, sunny. Period. Dinner, sun is down. I need a breeze.
It's dark. Yeah. Yes. Okay, at the house, Kyle is already making plans to meet out the dinner crew after they eat at the house.
Which I like this too.
This is where I was like, this split is weird because Kyle's like, we got to go out.
Kyle's like, I'm itching to get out of this home.
That Lindsay made these potatoes. I don't want these fucking potatoes. Yeah.
Kyle hates this grouping, but he has to fall on the sword here. But he's like, get me out. Get me out.
The producers were like, Amanda's going. You need to stay.
He's like, no.
I got to watch these stupid dogs. So we go to dinner again. West and Ciara bond over knowing why cheersing was invented.
Wait, this is cute. I love how he was hilarious. Like, I've said this a million times and nobody has known. And I'm like, this is the invisible string. This is your invisible string. Here we go.
So tying you guys together. Then at the house, they play a game where it's basically, if you've seen The Office, the Diversity Day game, where you put a name of the person at dinner, and you have to figure out who you are by asking questions.
This was so funny.
They were funny. Kyle was like, do I have perfect melons? And everyone's like, yeah. And he had Ciara, and he goes, I'm Amanda.
Which,
and everyone's like, no.
That's like, a Kyle, good, I see honestly, how you got there, but
I was there too.
Also great that you don't notice that Ciara also has perfect.
I was there with you. Yes, 100%. And then Jesse was like, is my vibe a 10 all the time? And everyone's like, absolutely not. It's a 2 or below. Kyle's literally like, it's maybe a 2 and below. And Jesse's like, oh, I'm Amanda. Like easy peasy.
So funny. I like wish I had a big enough friend group where like I could do this with 50% of the group.
I also love that Gabby got Carl and she just guessed nothing. She just sat there with a sticky note on her head as far as we saw. Okay, so then we go back to dinner. Wes goes to the bathroom and then the table's like, hey, while he's gone, we love how cute you and Wes are.
Yes.
And Ciara's like, I agree, but also I just met him and we're a slow burn and I love a slow burn and that's what we're going to do. And then Wes comes back and they're all like, okay, table it. He's coming back. So Ciara's like, the weather at the beach was lovely. And everyone's like, no, yeah, it was great.
How would you feel? Because let's be honest, Wes knows they're talking about him. You just know as the person. I would be so slightly insecure because it's like, is this good conversation or bad conversation?
I would make a joke. I would look at Ciara and be like, I know you were just talking about me. It better have been all good things.
Yeah.
Like, were you telling them how much you're in love with me? Like, I would say something like that. And she'd be like, haha, bitch. I love them. Okay, then we go back to the house. They're all eating dinner. And then one of Kyle and Amanda's dogs is outside. So they're like not knock on the door, but I was like, let me in. And so the dog says, let me in. Kyle lets the dog in and he's like, where's the other dog? And everyone's like, fuck, I don't know. It's not our dog. It's not our responsibility.
His fuse is so short though, because he's like, the door was open. Like as if it's their fault.
Door open.
Or responsibility to like watch the dogs. This is something that bothers me. These are not my dogs. So like it is truly not my responsibility. If I notice something's happening, I should speak up, like see something, say something, but I am not going out of my way to help you watch these dogs.
No, listen, I should close doors, but also I'm not thinking about it. And if you see the door open, you go close it and yeah.
But there's also thousands of like people around. No, maybe not thousands, but like producers are like in and out of this house. So like it's not guaranteed it was one of these people sitting at this table. So like get the fuck off my back.
Also, it's like that with kids where it's like there are sharp corners. The kids can. It's not my problem. No. You fix it, and I'm just here.
This is your responsibility. This is not our responsibility to watch these dogs.
I don't have pets or kids because I don't want to watch them. So why would I watch yours?
And when something bad goes down, you cannot be mad at me.
No, I was
mad at Kyle.
I was eating Lindsay's potatoes. Don't come at me.
Yes.
So Paige is literally like, oh, here's Kyle last weekend saying Amanda would be a shitty mom. guess who fucking lost a dog?
I was so nervous that the dog was like legit lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, Amanda is just going to
I was like,
ream
Amanda's
him.
going to kill him. She's going to divorce him in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But then Kyle storms in and he's like, could someone help me with the dogs? Which I would be Paige. I'd be like, no.
Again, not my responsibility. And if you want my help, you better fucking ask me nicely.
Well, Kyle's like, I'm not just gonna go in the forest like for nothing. We have to search. So Lindsay goes upstairs because she has a brain, and she's like, the dog.
Let's assess the house first.
So she goes upstairs and finds the other dog, and she's like, Kyle is just here.
The way that man can't problem solve.
He is 40 something. He's maybe just 40.
This is truly weaponizing competence because you know he is competent. If there was a problem at work, he would be able to solve it.
Yeah, but he can't think, okay, let's retrace the steps and find the dog.
Let's assess the house, and that will tell us if the dog is actually outside.
Just ideas. He's just...
And honestly, if the dog was truly lost outside, I think everyone would get involved. Even, like, production, I feel like would help.
Stop yelling at us, though.
Like, let's assess the situation. He does not do well under pressure. And, like, when him and Amanda have a baby... I can see him acting this exact same way just towards her. Like, everything's her fault.
But, like, literally, don't yell at me or I'm not going to help you find your stupid dog.
I want to punch him.
Don't come at me.
I hate him.
I was so mad.
I was so mad watching this. I was like, fuck you. I am about to leave you and go out, and you can stay home and figure out this dog situation.
Same. We'll go back to dinner. Everyone's like, it's so nice to have Carl at dinner. It's really different when you're separated from your significant other. Carl shares that last night Lindsay felt very dismissed. And then Ciara, I was like, wow, brave girl, because she says, how is he going to maintain a relationship with someone in the long run who drinks and is obnoxious and rude when she drinks? I thought Carl was going to be like, she's actually not.
I thought he was going to defend her too.
I know. I was like, but Carl says he feels like Lindsay has gotten a lot better. They go to couples therapy and that's helped. But it is hard, but they always seem to come back together. Which, like, if I was here, I'd be like, fine, whatever. Do Lou over here, too. Do your thing.
Yeah, I don't care enough about you and Lindsay fighting, but good luck.
So, back at the house, it's now like 9:49 p.m. We're cleaning up dinner. Gabby and Lindsay are talking about how Lindsay and Carl and Danielle, they're all good. They're all in a great place. Then Paige joins, and Gabby's like, you know who's not in a good place is the two of you because you haven't seen each other since the reunion. And it was literally...
Gabby, way to push the story along. Like,
that was great.
Good job.
And Paige is like, that's just me and Lindsay fighting. And Lindsay's like, well, I don't want us to be like that. Do you? And Paige is like, well, I don't care.
This cracked me up because, like, it kind of shocked me. Lindsay is so combative. Like, I just don't think she doesn't, like, it doesn't really seem like she minds fighting with people. So to hear her be like, I don't want it to be like this. I'm like, you don't act like it. And Paige kind of being like, I don't mind being like this. Like, there are those people that I don't 100% get along with, and I don't really care.
These two will never be friends.
No.
Stop.
I don't think it needs to be so combative. Like, that reunion was especially, like, interesting. Yeah. But still.
Because you're nuts. Yeah. Because you're nuts. That was awesome. That was hilarious. I was cracking up. But that was a good one.
We're not going to be different. We're just not going to be that bad.
I think the thing is, Paige sees it as she came in. Lindsay has been fighting with her since day one. Yeah. Why would Paige want to be anything else but come back? She's just like, whatever. She's never known a friendship with Lindsay.
Yes.
Whereas I think Lindsay saw it as Paige came into her territory, became an instant star, and she wasn't going to take Lindsay's shit. So Lindsay's like, fuck you, basically. Yeah. And then she's like, I don't want to fight with Paige because that's bad for my branding.
Yes, like hierarchy kind of changed. Like Lindsay was on top, and now like Paige is either equal or
Paige is beloved. Her. Yeah, I think she's below, but she's beloved.
Well, I think she's more of an equal now, and Lindsay for like the public sensation of it all. Like I can't just like fight with Paige or like talk down to Paige. And so like I've got to make this work. And Paige is like, listen. Years ago, you could have made it work, and I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, Paige doesn't care if she's hated. PR is not in Paige's thing. She'll take it.
No, because I feel like Paige just stands for whatever she wants to do, and that's fine. And Lindsay kind of used to do the same way, but at the cost of of Paige. And Paige just is like, how about you just stand over there? Like,
because you're nuts. That was all, just the best. So Lindsay says Paige thinks that Lindsay has done things in her past that she actually hasn't done.
I kind of like that they like really just went for it.
Yeah. Lindsay's like that story about Craig being kicked out of
Amanda
and Kyle's wedding. And Paige is like, yeah, I do think that you leaked that. And Lindsay goes, it actually wasn't me, it was Danielle. And Paige is like, what? And I go, girly. Lindsay can't be a friend. She doesn't know how to be a friend to anyone. She doesn't know how to just make amends without.
For self-preservation is so strong. Like no one is safe.
I would have almost respected more if Lindsay had said, like, look, I didn't do that. You can believe that if you think so, but I would like to move forward. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry for everything in the past. She's obviously not going to ever apologize.
You can defend yourself without putting down who used to be your best friend and who you're trying to build a relationship back up with.
Yeah. And so then Paige is like, shit. And Gabby's also like, shit. They're both kind of shocked.
Shock on their face. But
Paige is like, okay, and in that moment, in the reunion, Danielle should have defended you, Lindsay, and taken ownership of that. She didn't. But then Paige in her interview was like, I'm not going to fight with Danielle. I'm not going to come at her. That's what Lindsay wants. And Paige knows Lindsay is self-serving, and Lindsay doesn't care really about anyone as much as she cares about herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lindsay wants Paige to turn the whole house against Danielle. But that, like, Paige isn't going to do that.
Here's the thing, and I don't even think it's just Danielle. Lindsay would, anybody who would arise as another villain.
Public enemy number one.
Yes, like, Lindsay would put everything and anything on whoever could be the villain in the moment. And so, like, it happens to be Danielle in this conversation. Like, she knows no bounds to, like, it just save herself at all costs.
I think it also shows Paige, right, though? Like, I wouldn't want a friend like Lindsay. So Paige is like, I'd rather just deal with Danielle leaking that stupid story about Craig that no one really cared about. And just
when they weren't even, like, on good terms. Like, now they're on good terms, and I don't think Danielle would do something like that to Paige.
Well, I think Danielle was probably doing it because Lindsay's Paige
bidding.
And her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think Paige is smart enough to know. And also, she's not going to give Lindsay what she wants. She's not going to be like, yeah, I'll turn the whole house against Danielle. So Paige is like, whatever.
That's the thing. I think you throwing this out when I am on good terms with Danielle, and you should be good on, like, Lindsay should be on good terms with Danielle. Like, it shows much more than just Danielle doing the story.
Yeah. So whatever. Paige is like, you know what? She's not great at making amends, but this is something. So
I think, Paige is probably like, I'm not going to actively fight with Lindsay over anything. But again, I'm just going to I don't want to be friends, but I'm cool to not be enemies.
Paige is sitting there going, she's still nuts.
She's nuts.
So at 11:22 p.m., the house is going out, except for Paige, because Paige is already in her pajamas. So she's going to stay home with Kyle's dogs that he can't watch. So, and then Amanda and Ciara, of course, come home first from the bar. And then Paige finds them upstairs. They do a little hello, but then they go to bed. At 11:36, the house is all out. The rest of the house is partying. Mm-hmm. And Carl and Lindsay get home at 12:27 a.m. Lindsay tells Carl about how she talked to Paige and told her that was Danielle that leaked that story, and now it's not on her. And Carl's just like, congrats, good job.
The like bragging way she said it, I was like, no.
I was just like, at this point, just, Lindsay, I don't know.
I don't like her as a person. Like, the last 2 episodes, I'm like, I just don't think highly of you in any regard.
The thing is, I was rooting for her and I was wrong. And now but like, when I tell you that now she makes me irrationally angry about everything she does.
Welcome. It is really hard. Everything she does to, like, swallow, like, the way and how she does things. I'm like,
at least it used to be funny before. And now it's just like, also you can't come to.
It used to be a little bit more lighthearted, like little stupid things. And now it's like, this is your life. These are your relationships.
We were fighting about Lindsay being a hoe one season. That was hilarious. That was fine.
And I back her on that.
Also, we all know I support my girl Danielle. So you can't come for her, bro.
Yeah, there's your turning point.
Don't come for her.
Don't fuck with Danielle.
Also, I think Paige is being great. I think Paige is a superstar. I still think Paige would bully the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
But I love her so much.
Yeah.
So stop. Anyway, 2:10, the rest of the house comes home. Danielle got in first, so at first I thought it was just her, but it turns out the rest of the car couldn't figure out how to open the car. And Gabby's telling Danielle, and Danielle's basically like, bitch, it was just a car. Just again. Gabby's like, we couldn't figure it out and you left us there. And Danielle's like, I would
be the person to just get the fuck out and leave.
I'd be like, I thought you were right behind me.
I'm kind of shocked she didn't like leave the door open.
Yeah, she shut it. That was hilarious.
Or something.
I don't know. It was all funny. So they continue to party in Club Send It. But
as a person trying to sleep, this would drive me nuts.
That's why you always wait for Kyle and Danielle to come home, because these two are menaces.
They are.
So they have like the smoke machine going. They got music playing, and then the smoke alarm goes off. This would piss me the fuck off if I was sleeping.
This would really send me, because I could probably fall asleep to music.
Fine. But the constant beeping.
And there's like, no one cares. That's the thing. They're not like opening windows trying to stop it too.
They are dancing to the beat of the beep. Hilarious.
Oh my God.
So they finally turn it off somehow. And then West and Jesse are hanging out in Wes's bed. Or West and Kyle are hanging out in Wes's bed, and Jesse's there, and Jesse farts on their faces and then runs.
I literally thought, this is how you get pink eye.
This was disgusting. And then Kyle and Wes are just laying down. They end up falling asleep. This was awesome.
Sideways, like the opposite way you lay on a bed too.
Yeah, sideways. They're not like snuggled. Their legs are hanging out. Like, it was awesome.
I'm dead over this. I'm so big on comfort, especially when I'm drunk. Like, I will never, like, sleep in jeans. Like, I can always put myself to bed.
Yeah.
Because I want to lay down.
Not Kyle.
I was like, you two are a fucking mess.
Men are wild. Love it. So then it's 7:29 a.m. on Sunday. And Kyle and West wake up like spooning. Like West is fully spooning
his
Kyle.
Leg over Kyle. I loved this. I wish Kyle had woken up before West though and been like, whoa, get off me.
Same. It was so funny. They kind of they hear that they both kind of wake up together and they recognize that West's leg is like on him and West is like, sorry.
But they're like half asleep and they're just like groggy.
They don't care. No. And then they still hear this beep from the fire alarm. And they're like, it's not the full fire beep, but it's like when the batteries are low when a beep starts going off. Hilarious. So then Kyle heads up to his own bedroom where Amanda and the dogs are sleeping. He's a menace. I'd be so scared if I was Amanda and saw this man walk through my door.
I'm kind of shocked she wasn't more mad. Like, where did you sleep last night? But then it's funny because if they got into a real fight over this and then you see the footage months later, like it would be so
funny. Yeah, at 9:34 is when everyone starts to wake up. And Amanda's like, where the fuck did you sleep last night? And he goes, Wes's bed. And she goes, she's like, really? And he's like, what? Yeah. Like he's just like,
she was like, fine. Where did he sleep? And he's like, in the bed.
In the bed. And she's like, great, you whatever.
Me and West. We're actually the new house couple, not Ciara and West.
I stole her man. And I'm sorry. So Carl wakes up Lindsay with arm kisses. Weird. Hate it every second. But do your thing, bro. The way
they operate and like showing each other love, especially when like this horrible fight happened, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
How dare you? Do not kiss her. She has yet to apologize for questioning your sobriety.
It's not for me. But do you?
It makes me angry.
So it's 10:45. We pack up. We head to the city. Wes checks in with Ciara in her room. And he's like, hey, are you busy on Thursday? And she's like, why? And he goes, for dinner. And she's like,
in this conversation, keeps just looking her up and down, though.
Hot.
It was too many times for me, though.
Hot. I want you so distracted by how good I look. Hot.
Every time he said words, he would literally her whole body.
Hot. I loved it. So she's like, are you asking me out to dinner? And he's like, yeah. And I'm going to send a car for you since that's what you like. I've never done that.
I love this. I love how he was just like, of course we're going to dinner and I am sending you a car.
The car will be there. He goes, do you think you can handle that? And she goes, can you handle that?
Hot.
This was the hottest way to be asked out ever in my life. And Danielle, the best part is the door is open and Danielle's across the hall and like, Danielle's sitting there with her hands up.
Cheering like, Ciara on.
She's like, yes.
I am pumped for Danielle and Ciara to be single together. Like, I love that energy. It's giving me old Lindsay and Danielle going out together. Like,
I just loved Danielle half over her suitcase, fully paused, going, yes.
Oh my God.
And that Wes couldn't see her. That was the best part. Like only Ciara.
This is girlhood, and I love it.
That was awesome. Okay, so we're in NYC, baby. Welcome to the big city. We're during the week. On Tuesday, Paige makes Amanda some smoothie. On Wednesday, Danielle drinks some wine. On Thursday, Wes is sweating his balls off in front of a restaurant when Ciara pulls up in her car.
Oh my God.
And Wes is like, stakes are high on this date because you have a bad hinge date, you never have to see him again. But like he lives with her all summer. So he's like, this better be a good date, you know?
But I kind of feel like then you're predisposed to only say yes if you're interested, you know? Like
yes.
So like her saying yes, it means more than just a like, oh yeah, I'll go out with some stupid stranger on Hinge.
Agreed.
Also, fuck Hinge.
Fuck Hinge. So I like that they were at a square table and he doesn't sit across from her. He sits like on the other side, like next to her. This was great because then you can like share foods and talk a lot easier.
And also, to me, flirting a lot has to do with little touches. Like you can like, you know, just tap someone's shoulder. It's like the way you engage with body language is so different. Like the way you're sitting across the table or next to each other at a table.
Also, I have bad hearing. So if this restaurant is loud, I'm going to go, what? What'd you say? That's me.
And they say like if you lean into a conversation, it means more. You can do that so much better at the corner.
Oh my God, I loved every second of it.
This made me want to go on a good date, but like that's hard to find.
What I didn't love is that Wes was sweating a lot. And this is why I was like, does this restaurant not have AC? Like, come on, help my guy out a little.
Alicia, I was so stressed because like once you start sweating and you're nervous, it is so hard to stop. And I feel like I would keep profusely sweating because I'm stressed about sweating.
Yeah. Well, I liked how Ciara was like, you're sweating so much. Are you nervous? And he's like, can you tell? Like, it was so funny.
He makes everything like a lighthearted joke and not so serious. So it's easier to roll off like it being kind of like weird. Not I'd say weird, but like the awkwardness that like your date is profusely sweating.
Well, like if Ciara was like, you're sweating a lot, he could have made it awkward and said something like, yeah,
oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I sweat a lot. I'm a big sweater. I'd be like, ew. He's
I know.
Can you tell I'm nervous?
He made this cute. They both did. It takes work to like.
Well, and then Ciara's like, I'm nervous, and Wes is like, wait, I love that you're nervous. Like that was cute. And then she's like, I love that you have your nipples out on our first date, and he's like, thank you so much. It's not too much. It's not distracting you. And she's like, no, I actually was also going to have my nipples out. He's like, bummer. Like they're so good.
10 out of 10. Like. This is what I want. This is what I want in like the start of a relationship.
This is the best date we've ever seen on Bravo, and I want every second of it.
This made me hopeful of like dating. Like this is what the enjoyable dating is. Like this is right. Like this is fun. Like we don't need to accept anything less than this.
Yeah, Ciara is a little nervous though. She usually dates guys in their like mid 30s because 28-year-olds like Wes usually are not really looking to settle down. And Ciara's a very intentional dater, so she's looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
But then they talk, this is so fun. Wes is like, what do you do outdoors? Which I was like, Ciara's probably like Paige and doesn't go outdoors. But Ciara's like, I'm actually a camper. I was in Girl Scouts for a really long time. And I have hiked a bunch of national parks. And Wes is like, excuse me?
He was like, whoa. And I was like, I love when you can surprise a guy and be like, I'm not just the like fashion incredible girly. I'm also outdoor Barbie.
Yeah, too. Beautiful. And so then she says in her interview, she's like, oh my God, I like him. And I was like, yes. I feel like it's our friend that we're like, she's going to get married.
This show really does make you feel like you're friends with everybody on it or like have a personal relationship with them. And like navigating this, it feels like she's like calling you after the date in her interviews being like, I like him.
Ciara, we are rooting for you. When I tell you, this is what I want the whole summer. I want the slow burn. I want you to fall in love. I want Wes to keep like doing this for you. I want Wes to be nervous. I want it all. I want
the little thing. Like, I want him to bring her coffee now in the morning. He's doing the Andrea, you know? It's like the cute little...
I want the banter. I love him joking with her. Like, they kind of put each other down, but it's never mean, and it's very funny, and like
it's because like laugh. This is what we want. Like, we enjoy this.
This is the fun banter. Like when the nipples thing was so funny to me. Like, that was so good.
And you know, like, the wrong person, the wrong guy or the wrong girl, like, it's like a tango to, like, have good banter. Like, with the wrong person, that wouldn't land. Like, that would just be, it would just make the date weird. But, like, they both play in and off each other's jokes.
Yeah.
So well.
Even Luke, who I am in love with, would not have banter. I would get so bored of Luke.
No.
Never in my life.
Your thing is you just need to be inside a house and watching him do outdoor activities.
Yeah, I want to hang out with him from the hours of like midnight to 2.
Yeah.
With a fire.
Deep combos around a fire.
Deep combos, and then I leave and I don't talk to you for the next 24 hours. Or to 48 hours, probably.
Yeah.
This I want to hang out with Wes every second of every fucking minute of every day.
It's like so funny, like how you feel with somebody really does matter. And I'm like kind of like starting to learn how to assess that. But like he would make me feel so happy. Like I always say, like, can you lose track of time with someone? Like that's a big thing that you can't really like suss out on like a profile. It just, it happens. Like that energy that you feel with someone. This is such good energy. I even feel it through a TV screen.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
Both of them. Ciara, I apologize again for everything I've ever said about you.
I'm so excited.
I'm the worst.
I need this all summer. Bring this all summer.
Same. So, also in New York, I don't know what day, I'm going to assume also Thursday, but who cares? We go out to Lindsay and Carl, or with Lindsay and Carl. It's this mocktail place owned by a woman who is sober.
Okay, I feel like they didn't tell the story of this place.
No, this woman
in a great way.
Sober.
I was like lost, and I was kind of annoyed because they also didn't give us the name of the outside of the restaurant like we typically get on like Vanderpump.
Yeah, we didn't get the name. We just walk in. Lindsay doesn't order like a particular drink. She sounds good. She's like, just make me anything.
Yeah,
and Carl's like, hey, it's owned by that girl behind me who isn't on camera, and then is like, she's sober. And
I was disappointed.
I
just felt like this could have been really good storytelling, and like the story of a sober bar is like
for the bar.
Very up and coming. I've never been to one, so I want to learn more about it. And this fell flat because of like the storytelling piece.
If you will, I sometimes am sober curious, so I would love to know the name of this bar so I could go one day.
Yeah, and I want to know like what drink did you get? Did you like the drink? Like what's in it? I just needed more from
what's in it. Yes.
This.
I don't know if this bar wanted to be associated with
it was weird. And Carl also like was halfway through a drink by the time Lindsay walked in. I was just like, Carl, what did you get?
It's juice. He's just chugging it down. It's just juice.
I was like, what is these two are not so good weird on camera together, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no like
they're the
opposite of West and Ciara. There's no chemistry. And we have said, which I have said this before, I was so disappointed because when they announced they were dating on social media, I was so about it. And then I watched them on TV and I thought they're siblings. That is the chemistry they give me as siblings.
Especially because the photos we would get in the fall that they started dating were hot. Yes, but it's like clearly you like take 8,000 pictures and find like the best one. Like that's a very static moment. But like being good on camera on like film is so different. The chemistry is
not, I don't believe it. These are two actors that have zero chemistry.
They don't even have that good of friendship chemistry anymore, even. Like, they used to when they were the Tres Amigas.
The three of them were so good.
Yeah.
They had more chemistry when they finger banged and tried to date. That was better than this.
Yeah. Now it's, like, so forced and there's so much pressure. And it's just
I have said this before, they feel like a couple who made a marriage pact if they were both single and they just decided to cash in on it. Anyway, so Carl talks career stuff. He wants to continue this. Carl says he's very happy he hasn't had a 9-to-5, but he needs to see what he wants to do. And Lindsay's like, okay, what do you want
I was like, no, we already know she hates this conversation.
Well, Lindsay's like, there's a lot of ideas. There's no forwardness. So like, what do you want to do?
Which I'm happy she said to him, like, be honest with him because you did say that like behind his back, which isn't a bad thing, but you've already said this. So I need you to actually say this to him, to his face when you have the opportunity.
I also feel like in this scenario, Carl needs a good swift kick in the ass. And Lindsay's Lindsay's not going to do a good swift kick. She's going to send you to the moon with that kick, but she's going to let you know.
And, like, she deserves to. Like, this is her life, too. Like, this, it does impact her. So, like, she should be strong and opinionated about this in a general sense.
But then Lindsay's like, for me, I'm attracted to determination and drive. Like, if you had that, I want to take you to the bathroom right now. And Carl's like, you want to go to the bathroom right now? And she goes, no. That could have been said better.
I was like, already we're coming off of a good date.
I screamed. I went,
I am uncomfortable with you too, but you are actually vocalizing what is wrong here in this relationship from a compatibility standpoint.
I was like, what Danielle said about Grace, that didn't register.
Because that aspect also existed when they finger banged that summer. Like, he just really didn't want to put in the effort and work into a relationship. And, like, that's not attractive.
No. So, Lindsay says, because Carl's like, well, it's not too bad yet. And Lindsay's like, well, the alarm is kind of sounding in my head. She says if she needs to go back into PR and open her PR firm, fine. But this is not a good situation to be in when they have children and there's no plan or timeline for your job.
And I was like, girlie loves a timeline.
She wants, and I get, right? Again, they live at this certain level. Lindsay wants to keep her life, I'm sure. So does Carl.
And I do think Lindsay is realistic to know this show will end and, like, influencing may not be forever. So she's saying, like, I can always lean back on my PR experience. Like, I have plan A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
I need you to have, like, an A, B.
She can go A, B, C, D. She has PR. Carl does have sales, but if he's not doing sales, like, what are you going to do?
It's hard to jump back into it. Like, your relationships will die if you are not actively.
Where are we going with this kind of thing? And I think, too, like, if we want to live at this certain level and bring kids into this certain level,
that kids will make it more expensive.
We can't be in a one salary household. We need dual income at that point.
And I don't think Lindsay wants to be, like, I don't think she minds being, like, making the most and being the actual breadwinner, but I don't think she wants to be the sole financer of their life.
I agree, and I don't think they would do the show with kids. So that money revenue, I think
she wants to be taken care of, and she deserves that.
I agree. Like, that, I doubt Lindsay did not let him know what she wants before they entered into this. So he knows, right? Probably.
I think she makes it, I don't think she probably clear stated it, but I think she kind of subtly makes it pretty clear. Like, but I just don't think he cares. I just think this is where they're not compatible.
Agreed. And I think at this point it's been a year, right, of you figuring it out. And that is great. And I think Lindsay's gotten them a ton of brand deals. Because if you remember, as a couple, they did, like, some Fabio commercial they did. And, like, they've been making a lot of money off this engagement. They sold their pictures to people. Like, Lindsay's, I think, the one doing that. And she's like, okay, it's been a year. What is your stuff?
But again, I don't want to be your mom. I don't want to have to, like, manage even your influencing career as, like, a side hustle. Like, that's miserable.
Yeah. So Carl says by the end of summer, he was going to have an answer. And Lindsay's like, that is a great timeline. End of summer. Because they'll get paid for this. And she's like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think she needs to know that he is actively working towards something.
Yes. But then Carl says, you know what idea I do have? I'd love to do a sober sports bar. And Lindsay goes, no. No. And I get restaurant industry, especially in New York, is hard. There's I would say 75% chance it's not going to work out.
Especially in the first year, it typically fails.
Yeah, and you're about to just get married. So, like, what a way to start that. 2, that's a lot of time, dude. You'll never see Lindsay, and you won't be having kids because the time is taken. Also, 3, I understand the idea of a sober sports bar. That's a very niche market, though. You're cutting out the girlies who are sober that don't like sports kind of immediately. Unlike this bar, I think is a good idea because it's just a mocktail place. You could go after work if you don't want to drink. The sports bar is very specific. A lot of sports people do drink. You could go to any sports bar and just not drink. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or like build out a sports bar that has better non-alcoholic options and like make that a huge focus with also having drinks.
Yeah, listen, as a sports fan, I couldn't see myself going to a sober sports bar often enough to like
Agreed.
Enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I wasn't drinking, because part of me watching sports is yelling at the TV and getting rowdy and like
and having a
enjoying
beer.
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if I'm sober, right? I love the idea of sports.
The environment. I see what you're saying.
The environment. I need us to like yell at the TV. Even when I'm alone, sober by myself, I'm yelling at the TV. Same. But it's amplified when I am on drinks and it's a fun environment. Mm-hmm. And also, what the fuck am I going to drink at a sports bar that's non-alcoholic?
I don't want some like craft cocktail.
I'm not getting a mocktail.
I'm not getting some botanical non-alc cocktail.
I want a beer. And let me tell you, as a woman, I'm not drinking beer for the calories. I'm getting drunk off of it.
You will never find me drinking a 0% beer, personally.
It makes me bloated. Why wouldn't I at least get drunk and not feel my bloat?
Yes.
So I'm with Lindsay. For once in the episode, I stand with Lindsay and I go.
I do. It's just hard because like she publicly makes these very harsh stances. And I think a lot of people take offense to things because there are a lot of people in the restaurant industry and like it is a grueling industry. But like then I think people do take it personally and I see how people take it personally because they're like, fuck you. Like, I own a restaurant or whatever. So it's like off-putting. She's just so harsh on things.
She's very harsh.
It becomes so off-putting.
But I understand the sober sports bar. That's crazy.
Listen, the idea isn't there in the restaurant industry is grueling. And I so see her point about being like, we are about to start a family. This is not the time.
This isn't an option, my guy. It's so niche too. You're cutting out non-sports fans too. We didn't even mention that. If you're not a sports fan, you're not going to go to this. So you've already cut out a bunch of people.
Because like you don't even have the like, oh, we'll just stop in for a drink because it is just a bar. Like people finding it.
Yeah.
Also, that's a rough one. That's a rough take, especially after knowing the podcast and the other journey. It's like, oh, now we're here.
I also love a sports bar to meet men, but I can't date a sober person. We've talked about this because I love to go out and have a few. Also, I
think it would take quite a few years for the industry to get to where a successful non-alc sports bar could survive. Like we're just getting into the like non-alcoholic bars.
Yes.
Like we need time for this to potentially evolve and maybe be successful.
I like the idea of a sports bar where you have better non-alcoholic options. Because sometimes on a Sunday night, I don't want to drink, but I want like a fun
drink.
I don't know. So
yeah,
I think back to the drawing board with that one.
Yeah. I think, hey, your non-commitment to your ideas is really going to work in Lindsay's favor with this idea.
I think your podcast was the best idea.
I think start a podcast and then do some like
motivational speaking.
Yeah, once you get more comfortable in your story and like your brand, I think that is your bread and butter.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so next week on Summer House, there are chicks making out in the house. Can't wait. Ciara and West kissed on the lips.
After the date, right?
I don't know. I think so. Unless they kissed all the time on the lips more than once.
It just sounds like we don't get this on camera. And I'm like, I need to see this. Also, his mustache, all I think about is her kissing him with his mustache.
I love it. Amanda doesn't want to do couples therapy. Lindsay calls Carl Sandoval, which is very ironic because I think
that really upset me.
Yeah,
I am like, I'm ready to throw hands after next episode.
Well, Carl's mad. He's ready to burn this house to the ground.
That's a big accusation.
So we're threatening with fire at this point.
I mean, rightfully so.
So, should we do fun, not fun? Do you want to do not fun first?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, you go first because I have a backup to I think what.
Okay, I'm going Lindsay because I really don't like her throwing Danielle under the bus. After having a good conversation with her on the beach, like they seemed back, and it's like you're really gonna do that to her?
Yeah.
And I feel for her on the like. job supportive thing. Like, I can see she's at her wit's end, and kind of rightfully so, but it just, I don't understand how she is a good partner to Carl. Like, where are you showing up for him? Because it's not supporting his sobriety at this point. You can't even apologize for questioning it. And you're not supportive with his job search, really. Like, well, I feel like she's like pushing him to just make a decision rather than helping him find a thing. Like, I wish she would, like, I hate to say coach him, but like be like, I really think the podcast idea was good. Like, how about we restart that?
Let's go back.
I just don't feel like she's helping him do it. She's just critical of him.
Yeah,
agreed. For not doing it. I don't know. I'm disappointed. Shocking.
Normally mine would be Lindsay, but
spread out.
In both our shows, we've usually been doing the same person for the bad.
Unless somebody is so bad, yeah.
And I'm tired of it personally. So I'm looking genuinely at this, at who was fun this episode and who was not fun this episode. Yeah. I'm going with Paige, unfortunately, was not fun because she stayed in with her pajamas. Yeah. And also, listen, I think it's great she's not going to attack Danielle, but also could you, so that we could have some drama kind of thing. And so, like, I just need a little more.
Say more back to Lindsay. Like, give me a fight somewhere.
If you're going to talk so much about Craig fighting, you better fucking back it up. Let's see it. Let's see it. I want it.
When does Craig come to the house? I kind of need him.
Put it on pay-per-view. Let's see it.
So, I need Jesse Solomon to, like, rub her back, and then the next episode, Craig to walk in while he's rubbing her
I want him to, like, smack her ass or something, and, like, I want the fight.
Or, like, a long hug. Something a little bit more intimate, where it's still not fully crossing the line, but, like...
You can't set up Craig so well as a fighter without letting me see it. So I haven't seen this man win any fight in his life, even against stupid ass Shep. So let's go, you know?
Nothing gets physical on Southern Charm. There's no, like, there was at the end of the season.
There was a little guy with big Muppet mouth.
That was weird.
But like,
I never questioned, could Craig fight on that
show? Because it's never been a thing.
Now I'm like, Craig in like a gingham button down in a fight? Craig Conover?
I think Craig could call the police if someone assaulted him. I don't think he could defend himself.
I just really feel like he'd be so drunk he couldn't even dial on a phone.
You know what? So Paige, until I see it, I don't believe it for a second. Yeah. Let me tell you, he's from the north suburbs of Chicago. We fight. There used to be every Wednesday at the Burger King parking lot, there was a fight after school in those suburbs. So
shut up.
No, yeah, in junior high, there was always, if you wanted to fight, it was when you'd be like, I'll see you Wednesday at Burger King. Yeah, we would go watch the fights. So I can tell you, Jesse's got a little something, okay?
Oh,
let's do it.
All right. I picked Jesse for sure. He's probably watched more fights than Craig has even watched, so.
I mean... Yes, probably. Craig lives in Charleston from Delaware, okay?
Yeah, he
goes from the mean streets of the northwest suburbs of Chicago to New York. I don't know. He's got a little more of an edge than little Craig. Who's your fun?
I have to go with Ciara.
Ciara is awesome.
She's just like so happy.
Ciara's great.
It truly makes me so happy.
I had such a moment with her, and honestly, I'm picking Wes. That shit was so good. He was so hot. The way he's like, "I'm sending a car. You better just get in it." That
every moment of the show, like him asking her out, them even at dinner in a group, like. They aren't
hot,
annoying, coupley. Like, it's a group activity, them flirting.
I love him asking Paige for permission. I love Ciara being like, I know what I want. I'm a slow burn. And he's stepping it up, and she is swooning. And I'm here.
The nipple talk, I'm in.
I'm here for it. Okay. We have thoughts from Tonette and Lady Swamp Witch. So Lady Swamp Witch, really quick, asked about thoughts on like lawsuits. I'm assuming that means Bravo lawsuits. We'll do that on a pre-show maybe.
Yeah, I think we should do it on Vanderpump since there is a Vanderpump lawsuit and then there's a lot going on in the Bravo sphere, but it's also hard to understand. We're no lawyers here.
We know nothing. And even listening to the Bravo docket, sometimes I'm confused.
Okay,
so
can we just stop suing people? Like, this is exhausting.
So, Tonette says, Kyle is kind of right in his discussion with Carl by the pool. I've noticed how Lindsay rarely starts arguments with Kyle and will apologize more quickly with Kyle. I'm sure it has something to do with them knowing each other for so long, but I don't necessarily remember a time when Kyle chose to not argue with Lindsay because he fell on his sword. Maybe behind closed doors, but when Carl described the relationship as not working out as sad, it was heart-wrenching. I feel Carl tiptoes around Lindsay to try not to activate her, and the marriage shouldn't work this way. Agreed.
Because it's hard to so many times like sweep things under the rug or apologize for things that are not your fault. So like it's better to just avoid them and like try to manage Lindsay rather than like deal with the aftermath, which is exhausting.
I also feel like with Kyle, he doesn't lose anything if he fights with Lindsay.
Mm-hmm. And he won't fall on the sword. So there will never be a recovery period because like he won't resolve it and just apologize just to apologize.
Yeah, he doesn't date Lindsay. He doesn't care.
No.
Tonette says, I like the flirting over fucking when that Ciara and West are doing. Agreed. I wish I knew what happened to have him bite her arm. It was just play.
I just bet that they were sitting there. She maybe like was like, no. And
he's like, I'll just bite you. I bet they were in a fight. I bet he was like, shut up or I'm going to bite you. And she was like, fucking do it. Yeah. And he did it.
This is so hot.
Yeah.
I love them.
I want a play-by-play of their relationship so much. I love how Wes's arm was on Ciara's chair pretty much the whole night. I
did notice that.
Yeep. And also played with the ends of her hair too. Shut up.
I didn't see that. Here's the thing. Like, people show that they're into you. Like, if you have to question it, they're not into you. Like, Wes is doing all the little things, and it's like making me so giddy.
Someone write fanfic about this. I'm in. I want it right now.
Reddit, I'm ready.
This reminds me of all this, like, the smutty romance novels I read where they lead up to it, and you can, like, tell, but, like, they're not just jumping in. Okay.
And I love people, like, the pointing out the details, because I didn't notice the hair play, so
I'm like, oh. I'm going to go rewatch that scene,
I think I need to.
I'm also living vicariously through Ciara, and the size of Ciara's smile when he asked her to dinner was amazing.
I just love. I mean, this like kind of proves that you can slightly still meet people in public. Maybe I need to make new friends because then like I can introduce myself to new people.
I need new ones, even though into New York there was no one. I got to move to a different state, I guess, and try again.
You gotta like randomly find a random girlfriend and join her friend group with guys.
I know. I need
That's my goal. Like
SOS.
Lately. Yeah.
Okay. Tonette says, I don't like how Paige is acting one way in her interviews and another way to Lindsay's face. Paige has called Lindsay Two-Faced and Paige is appearing to be Two-Faced or the Two-Faced one. Just saying. I feel no one has to question where they stand with Lindsay.
She is doing a little bit more. She's being more passive in front of Lindsay to just not cause fights. And I'm like, no, I want them.
Yeah, I just feel like Paige doesn't, again, care. She's like, Lindsay can do whatever. Like, at this point, they've never been friends. Paige isn't losing anything if Lindsay doesn't like her.
I always look at interviews as not really like talking behind someone's back, but giving me what your inner dialogue was.
Yeah, I just don't think Paige cares. Lindsay, without being friends with Paige, has lost a lot. She doesn't have friends in this house. People dislike her. The public has disliked her and come at her. She's constantly ridiculed at reunions, right? Paige doesn't lose anything.
Lindsay has more to gain from fixing things with Paige than Paige does.
I think Paige is like, I'm not going to fight, but also like, don't get it twisted. You're still,
I'm not helping you.
You're still on. I'm not letting you fully in. I'm aware of you. Okay, Tonette says, to go back to Lindsay and Carl, it pains me to watch this disaster. I know they weren't right for each other from the beginning, and this season is just proving me right. I'm so glad it's over. Lindsay needs a special supporting character to marry, and Carl ain't it. Listen, I think Lindsay needs to make her man in a lab, because I think she has a lot of requirements that... Never forget in COVID when stupid Stravy was just trying to do something and she was mad. We were in a pandemic.
Justice for Stravy. I
was stupid,
appropriately enough mad for him when he tried to plan that like date.
Like
what? Like
I was like, we're in a pandemic. What do you think?
To me, it's about the effort and not exactly what you do. And she is so critical on him doing it exactly how she wants.
She's like that with everyone.
That's how I feel about like Lindsay's involvement in Carl's career choices. It's like he's not doing what she wants, but she won't tell him what she wants him to do.
It's a lot. So that's the end of the thoughts. I posted, or it was posted a little late. Sorry, I did forget.
It happens.
I'll stay on top, but if you have other thoughts, comment on the previous episode. I'll check. I'll read them. So yeah.
I have a question for you. Did you watch What Happens Live?
No, but it wasn't Lindsay on it?
Lindsay was on it. She looked incredible.
As she does.
She gave the whole, I should have used more delicate words thing again. And I'm like, girly, the internet is telling you this is not enough. We need one I'm sorry out of you, and she still cannot give it. She did say, which I was really shocked that she said this. A fan asked her, were you blinded or did you have blinders on? Or sorry, were you blindsided or did you have blinders on about the breakup? And she said both. And I was like, that is the most reflective thing I've heard from her about the relationship, saying she was blind to all the problems. She kind of did it to herself a little bit. She just said it's about how Carl goes about the breakup. The breakup is valid. If he doesn't want to be, married, she understands that, but it's how he goes about it. And the big thing she pointed to was the wedding shower 2 weeks prior, which I agree.
I agree. You didn't just wake up one morning and say we're not going to get married. It was a few weeks in the making.
That's the thing is it's going to be painful to watch him let these wedding events happen so close to the wedding break or the breakup.
Yeah.
And unless he's giving me interviews or comments with Kyle where he's still doubting it but doesn't know how to stop this train, then I'm both of them are wrong.
I think that's where I am. I think at the beginning I was very how could Carl do this? But now I'm I understand how he could do this, but I think you did it wrong.
Yeah. That's where I'm starting to end up more.
And I think Lindsay going on her podcast tour to defend herself, again, I understand it, but I think it was wrong because I think you're then skewing the narrative and it's very PR, but you're doing that. And now people are
defensively too.
Now people are even more mad though because it's I don't trust what you say.
I know. The only thing that can write this and for me completely exonerate Carl is if he is actively having conversations with Lindsay about, which he won't on camera because that's just not them. But God forbid if he actually does this where they're actively having conversations about how concerned they are about their relationship. That's the only thing that could exonerate him for me on how he does it.
Yeah. Listen,
but I don't think I'm gonna get
it. I'm interested to also see what happens with the two of them because they're not going to go to this summer house together again.
I know.
And I think Lindsay deserves a lot of the hate, but I think at the end, Carl will also deserve a little hate for how he did it.
Yep. But yeah, you're right. Her podcast tour made her seem like she did nothing wrong.
Yeah. And it was in the height of scandal too. So you knew you were going to get supported.
I am so nervous to watch next episode. She is just,
she's off her fucking rocker. I think that's the other thing. We got to remember Lindsay's just crazy. I don't know why we're all surprised that Lindsay's this.
I know.
We all know. We all
that's
know.
True.
Great. Okay, so thank you. Do all the things. We will again be back next week. It's going to be so great. I really love Summer House. I'm excited for it. There's nothing about this season I dislike so far.
Yeah.
I'm in it. Great.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye.